Just before half-time, Stevie scored a great goal from outside the box after a corner. Great strike from about 20 odd yards. And, we go in half-time 2-1. And, we had to take a bit of a chance and a bit more risk because obviously we needed a goal. And we faced probably Michael Owen at his peak. That was in his early 20s. But, if you look at his career, he probably peaked then in the early 2000s.
That was Ballon d'Or winning year, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes, and if you gave him half a chance, he'd score. And if you give him one chance, he'd score three, and that's what happened. And it was disappointing because a draw would have been a very good result. We are ahead in the group. At the time, it still took I think a last-minute free kick against Greece from Beckham to win the group. But having said that, we had to play a playoff against Ukraine, and I think it helped us because we had a tough game over there. Took him back to Dortmund, beat him 4-1. And I think, looking back at it now, what happened in the World Cup, I think it was probably a blessing in disguise, even though, to play the playoffs, even though, obviously, to lose 5-1 at home against England wasn't the nicest experience.
No, I actually didn't feel sorry for you. But, Didi, at that time, I think typical English supporters, we see that performance and think, well, this is it. If we could beat the Germans on their own patch 5-1, this golden generation that we're going to have is going to go on and win lots of trophies. And actually, the opposite happened over the coming years. Then Germany came back to force. And did you think at that time this England team could be something special?
I think they should have. I don't think they were any worse than the one they've got now. And we've seen what they did last season or last summer.
We had Andy Cole and Robbie Fowler on the bench.
Yeah, no, it was an exceptional team. I always felt, I don't know what the setup in midfield was. I always felt that Gerrard and Lampard never really functioned together. You need players in the middle who are a bit different. I always thought they are too similar. But if you look at Rio and John Terry at the back. The talent they had going forward, it was an exceptional team, and we had our problems because obviously England knocked us out. I think it was in 2000 when they beat us. We got knocked out in the first round in the Euros, so we were in transition. We didn't have too many players coming through. 98 was the last tournament of that generation of the 1990 World Cup winners, and I was the youngest player in 98 with 24 years. So that we didn't have many young players, and Gareth just spoke about the formation we played. We had to fix holes, and we had a decent team, but we certainly weren't as good as England at the time.
How good do you think you played with him? Obviously played against him that night, but Michael Owen, I think some people don't remember just how brilliant he was. He was an exceptional player. I mean, obviously you talk about the injuries that affected him, but at his peak, he was sensational, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was unreal, and the thing with Mike was that he had so much pace. So even in the Premier League, where the games are fast and furious, even in them days, he gave you more time on the ball because as soon as he, started sprinting, or as soon as he saw there's a gap, the defense would drop off 5 or 10 yards because everybody was so scared of his pace. And when he was at his peak, it changed the whole complexion of the game. It gave you midfield, it gave you more time on the ball.
But it was different finishes and clever finishes as well as the pace.
I always said to him, if you look at his technique or his touch, it wasn't the best. If you gave him a ball at the halfway line, he'll give it back to you chest high. But if you fizz one into him in the penalty box, the hardest ball Zidane would probably struggle to control. He'd take it down and finish it. It was the closer you got to the goal, it was phenomenal. As I said, his all-round, his basic technique wasn't the best. But if you gave him a ball in the box, the hardest ball he can control, he would take it down and do something with it. And he was an exceptional player. Just a shame with his hamstring injuries. Obviously, after the first one he's had, I think it was always in the back of his head. And looking back now, you've got to say these early 2000s was probably when he was peaking.
I mean, we've been hurt so many times by the German side over the years, and I think we definitely have a complex about it as fans, as England fans, and whenever it was Germany, it was always, oh no, here we go. Was it the same for German fans, for the players, or did you kind of almost laugh at the way we would make such a big deal out of the game?
Well, I certainly didn't laugh because I lost more games against England than I won. Obviously, this is going back a few years. They lost a few penalty shootouts to Germany. Over the years, there were probably teams we had. We played Argentina in 2 World Cup finals in 86, 90, and then we had in the World Cup, I think we had 1 or 2 encounters with them later on after I finished. But England was always a special game because it is the home of football, and especially playing in England or at Wembley, it was always a special occasion. So, even though we might have beat you in the past more often than you beat us, the Germans tomorrow will be up for it, and we'll be looking forward to the game because we know that we probably play one of the best teams in the world right now, maybe even the favourites for next year's or this year's World Cup. So the rivalry is as big here, I'd say, as it is in England.
We ran 5-1 2001 down your throat enough times now, so why don't we redress the balance a little bit, because in the same qualifying group, Germany came to England, the old Wembley, and won 1-0. Do you remember who got the goal?
Yes.